is there in your MS Team General tab. So you may want to refer to that for our further discussion. I'm just sharing my screen. Can you all see my screen? Hello?
Yes, sir.
So today we will start another module on commercial and corporate banks. Already up to large extent we have understood how central bank basically we took RBI as a benchmark, and we try to see how central bank functions, what are various key roles, and how central bank helps in getting stable economic growth. So those things we have talked about. Now our focus would be on commercial bank. And can anybody tell how commercial bank and central banks are different in terms of functionality? Yep. Anyone? What are the key difference between these two?
Commercial banks directly connect to people,
Hmm.
general public.
Right.
Further, they are profit oriented, unlike central bank.
Okay, fine. And anything else? So one side of beneficiary you have talked about, basically individual or retailer. And what about the corporations? Utkarsh?
Yes, sir.
So how corporation or big companies get benefit from commercial banks? Do you have any idea?
When they get a loan, corporate, sorry, when a company gets loan from commercial banks, uh,
Mm-hmm.
they need to pay interest to bank, and when they are when they make investment and get profit from that uh, amount,
Mm-hmm.
that just gets a balance from the interest rate. Of
Right,
course, that's
right.
beneficial.
Yeah, so basically when we look at functionality of commercial bank, they having n number of, like in case of RBI we have seen RBI performs various roles as lenders of last resort, or banker for central bank, sorry, your central government as well as state government. RBI also does monitoring role. The RBI prepares guideline to ensure banking system is going to be stable. So we have seen for RBI there is lots of things to do. At the same time, whenever we talk about commercial banks, they also have, very critical role. And one paper, I believe, Eric Zivot. So two, paper that published in AER, I believe I have also shared in initial discussion. That paper talks about how banks' role becomes very important when countries' GDP is increasing, or when companies' economic growth is there. So unless banks are there to support, we cannot achieve stable and good economic growth. And that's why, and because RBI cannot involve itself in lending and borrowing, so RBI needs proper banking system, and based on that system, all those mechanisms, whether inflation is there, inflation to be controlled, or there are some other type of services, through commercial banks only the central bank can operate. So our focus, more or less, you all know little bit about commercial banks, basically your banks with, like PNB, SBI, or if you have, in other banks. So those banks are basically commercial banks. And then cooperative banks having slightly different orientation, because they are form of a kind of cooperative societies. And those things we will see. So we will slowly, move ahead and try to see what are the various objectives. So first objective is of your commercial bank. Any bank you can keep in your mind, like PNB, SBI, or Canara Bank, or anyone, any bank with with which you have your specific bank account. So first thing that these banks do, they provide variety of financial services. So what variety of financial services we are talking about? Of course, one service is about the banking. Banking means you can open your account, and then using that account you can have a number of operations. And apart from this, when we talk about banks, they also function as merchant bank, and many times you will see, in case of, especially in case of IPO issue, role of banks are very much important. They help companies in pushing IPO. They help companies in getting information on behalf of company. They these banks submit files to SEBI, and then whatever roles are there as a merchant bank, these type of commercial bank provide services. And apart from this, these banks also have various other instruments. For example, if you go to SGFC, they will have a number of investment options, mutual fund, then you can have SIP, you can have other investment options. So basically, these type of things, if you see these type of services, so there are, we have only talked about selected. Also, when you go for your leasing, you will also find Canara Bank or SBI banks are there. And factoring, basically we will talk about factoring. So for time being, you can think about these kind of services wherever money is involved, whether corporation need or individual need, banks are available, or commercial banks are available. And that's why the role of commercial banks are very much important. Apart from this, these banks also do a key role, provide a key role in liquidity management. If you remember, in when we talk about RBI, we have seen how various rates, especially CRR or SLR or other rates, repo and reverse repo rate, they are certain mechanism by which flow of money or availability of money can be controlled. Money supply.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah,
Sorry
yeah.
to interrupt.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you changing the slides?
Yeah, I have changed it. I'm now second slide, objective of commercial banks.
Okay, so because for me it's still on slide number 1.
Okay. Let me reshare it. I'm in second slide. I'm resharing. Can you see my screen? Objective.
Not yet, sir.
Okay. Let me reshare it. Can you see?
Yes, sir. Now it's visible.
Now I have gone for full mode, presentation mode. I have just changed my slide to ensure you are able to see. Can you see my screen? A structure of banking system, Indian banking system. Hello?
No, sir. Only the objective of commercial bank slide is visible.
Okay, let me so I'll go for full. I think I should go for full screen sharing. It is not taking window. Can you see my screen? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes.
And I have just changed my slide. Can you see?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Now
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah. Fine. So actually, second point we were talking about how commercial bank helps in liquidity management. So we have seen how RBI can control flow of money in commercial bank, basically through commercial bank into economy, and that's how the role of your commercial bank, because you have central bank, and what central bank does? Your RBI. Under RBI you have several commercial banks. So here you have C1, you have other C2 and CN. And with these different banks, you have individual or corporates are involved in various activities, lending, borrowing, purchasing various instruments. So here you have individuals. So I1, I2, IM, and same way here in these two, with these two commercial banks as well. So here you can see when RBI having control through these mechanisms. So basically through these commercial banks or these banks, all the flow of capital to individuals or to economy. So if this is my economy, entire economy, so this is how all these controls are done. Because ultimately economy is going to be impacted when there is excess supply of money or there is less supply of money. So keep these kind of balance, or to ensure that RBI's policies are going to function, we need this kind of a proper banking system of commercial banks. Otherwise nothing can be done. Now another point, as unless they are able to sustain, they cannot provide this kind of important bridging services, because unless they bridge central bank with individual or various corporations, economic stability cannot be achieved. So that's why they have to make, you know, some kind of profit. And how they make profit? They make profit by, you know, charging interest on deposit and other, you know, charging other, fee for various services, financial and non-financial services. So that's why unless they make profit, they cannot sustain. And here in this case, you can already, you know, you can relate that unless these banks are active enough to implement, you know, RBI or central bank policy effectively, economic stability cannot be achieved. So the role of commercial banks becomes very, very much important. If you have, you know, effective central bank in your country, that is good. But unless you have strong banking system like this, so this is your banking system, and unless you have this kind of system, you cannot achieve your optimum goal of having good growth rate or good economic environment. And apart from this here, if you see, because each bank performs, so this is your commercial bank, so you will have deposits. One way you have deposits, and another way, you know, there will be, you know, loans to individuals or corporations. So lending and borrowing, you know, you have deposit will come here, and at the same time, these banks ensure that if any borrower is your individual or corporation, so they perform dual operation. One way, they allow flow of money, savings into the saving accounts, and at the same time, lending is done. And again, here, if you see, these banks are going to follow RBI guidelines. You know, whatever, you know, CRR, SLR is there, they will have to follow because they are part of banking system. And that's how they ensure the mobilization of resources, basically capital resource or monetary resource, is done properly. And when they are going to lend to, you know, corporation or individuals, they also look at that allocation is done effectively. Means probably banks will try to ensure that probability of default on these, you know, borrowings are not going to be very high. Means there will be some kind of check for all those borrowers, so that money of these depositors should not, you know, disappear from the economy or from, you know, by this kind of lending activities. Apart from this, these banks are also play a critical role in management of reserve. And remember, sorry. So when we are saying management of reserve, remember, every bank has to keep some, you know, CRR, I believe around 4% CRR in India. So CRR and SLR. And you know, CRR, what are the CRR and SLR? CRR basically, it will be used as a buffer. So, and these are, these, you know, where these will go, these will be channelized to RBI. Means RBI will have control to, I think SLR is around 18%, if I'm not wrong, 18% or 24%. In last week discussion we had. But I assume that if, you know, certain CRR and SLR or reserve requirements are there, they, by following the RBI guidelines, they ensure that they are able to perform this service, management of reserve. And these reserves will be with RBI as a safeguard, as a buffer for various, risks. And also, you know, these banks perform a role of creating credit. We will see. Creating credit means how, you know, lending activities are going to take place. lending, or sometimes we call it, a direct credit creation. So these banks will perform very important role in any economy. These are, broad functionality of any commercial bank. But there could be a number of other, jobs or financial services any commercial bank can offer. Now, when we look at the structure of banking system, more or less you will find this kind of a structure. And we have RBI, central bank, and then we can classify into non-scheduled bank and scheduled bank, and difference between scheduled and non-scheduled bank. And then within scheduled bank, you can have cooperative banks and commercial banks. And when we talk about commercial bank can be Indian versus foreign, based on ownership or based on origin. So when we have Indian banks, within Indian banks, we can have public sector bank, private sector bank, or new bank. New bank means we have not online what we call payment banks. They are also you can consider some kind of parallel setup where banks are available, but they're in terms of functionality they have limited function, because they cannot go and involve like banking activities like public banks or other banks can do. So they will have limited operation in certain areas like payment banking or some other banking services, financial services. So those type of classification we can have. And also when we talk about our public sector bank, you can have rural bank or regional rural banks, you can call nationalized bank, and you have SBI or these banks. So basically this is more or less structure you will find in India about banking system, where your RBI is having supreme control or monitoring control on entire Indian banking system. Now there are various already we have seen that what kind of banking operation majorly banks perform. So we have seen banks do some kind of balancing between profitability and liquidity. So what we are saying about profitability and liquidity, because bank has to provide capital or money into to the borrower, because unless they are able to do that service, they cannot operate, because they have to generate certain revenue for long-term sustainability. And that's why these kind of lending and borrowing activities through banks, commercial banks, takes place. And at the same time they have to ensure about they will be able to sustain in long run. It means they have to ensure that banks are not going to be loss-making entity. And that's why a balance between profitability and with their core service of providing liquidity should be there. And also we have already talked about these banks are basically managing the reserves following the central bank's guideline. These banks also create credit whenever they allow borrowers to take money for their various purposes. They provide credit. And now this is what majorly you see, but there is concept of money multiplier. What is that money multiplier we are talking about? So basically this is the process by process of credit creation. So what we mean by money multiplier, basically when we say money multiplier, we are talking about how much time when $1 is there, how much $1 let's say $1 deposit is with commercial bank, how much $1 will convert into. For example, if $1 convert into $10, because $1 deposit was there in the bank, and through, we will see example, we also have examples. So $1 is utilized by the bank, and that convert into $10 of lending. So what we see, basically we are seeing that 10 times. So from here to here, this conversion of 1 rupee deposit into, in terms of lending, it is 10 times. So basically here we call your money multiplier, money multiplier is 10. And in general, how we compute money multiplier is basically your 1 upon CRR, your reserve ratio, CRR. So if CRR is 10%, basically 1 upon 10%, so this will become 10. Your money multiplier is basically 10. So we will see, one example I have. So we will see, and then probably it is going to be clear. So can you see my screen, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay, so I'll zoom it so that you all will be able to see. So in this case, we are assuming that your CRR, basically your reserve requirement for any particular bank is 10%. So so that our calculation will become easy. Now let's say any commercial bank gets deposit of 100 rupee or $100, whatever version. Let's say here everything is in INR. So everything here, whatever we have, you can assume it is we are representing in terms of INR. So what is happening here? Bank has, so one way of getting this $100 or 100 rupee in any commercial bank is someone has deposited this amount. Or what bank has done? Bank has sold the access security that bank had, and in by selling that security, bank has got some money from RBI. So any possible way you can think of that this 100 rupee has arrived in, let's say, RBI, or sorry, in SBI, one of the commercial banks. Now because CRR is 10%, so it means bank will have to maintain 10% of this deposit amount as reserve. Means it cannot be used. It will be with RBI, or with, you can think about this is going to be a reserve for simplicity. It means only 90 rupee will be available. So this is, we are assuming that CRR is 10%, and with that condition, only 90 rupee will be available that can be given to someone, right? And here you can see at this stage or time period 1, you can call your total deposit is basically this one, this amount, because we are assuming that prior to that there was no money with the bank. Now what bank has done? Bank has lent this 90 rupee. Means now 90 rupee is basically a new what you call money available that is going to be, that can be further lent, because let's say this 90 rupee has gone to another financial institution, and that financial institution wants to lend, or that institution, basically you can assume it's another bank. So what will happen now? Earlier it was 100 rupee deposited. Now that 100 rupee has, now reduced to 90 because bank has to keep 10 rupee as deposit, as a reserve. Now this 90 rupee can also be lent because now this is available, but again following the same rule, 10% reserve to be kept, then only 81 rupee can be lent. Now this 81 we are in third, if this is lent, so again 9%, 10% should be kept here, 8.10 rupee, and then remaining can be lent. So if we do this exercise, and here you see, because earlier you had 100 rupee deposit, but now because this 90 rupee in second time period can also be lent, so your total deposit will become 100 plus second stage 90. So this is how your deposit is going to change. So you can think of a case where one deposit was there and which is being transferred from one institution to second, and then it is some kind of continuous cascading lending process is taking place. And now if we keep on doing, so what I have done, I have used that calculation, and here you see in 73. So because we can in Excel we can go for whatever way we want. So I have gone up to around 96. So what you will observe that at 73 stage, or you can talk about at when 73rd time when lending process is taking place, you will find that the total amount which was initially 100 rupee will convert into 1000, and this 1000 is basically what I can, if I write this as 100 divided by your 10%. 10%, remember 10% was your what we call CRR. So your 100 rupee which was deposited initially, but when 73rd times, what you will find, and then after that more or less it is constant, it has transformed into equivalence of 1000 rupee. So basically 10 times your entire initial amount has been transformed. Or if I put another way, your money multiplier in this case is basically 1 upon your CRR, or 1 upon 10%. So this is how basically this is the concept of money multiplier. But remember, in theory, we can have this situation, but assume that at any stage someone has defaulted, because possibility is there that someone has defaulted, or something went wrong, and this simple calculation or this kind of sequential lending is not able to take place. So in that case, you won't be able to, this is at full capacity, your 100 rupee deposit can be equivalent to 1000, assuming your reserve requirement is of 10%. Or money multiplier, basically in this case money multiplier, if I write 1 upon 10%, which is basically 10 times. So your money multiplier is basically 10 times. And when we plot it, if you see here, when I have plotted, so this is how your curve will look like. So around 40th stage, around 90, you will reach to around 1000. So here, if you go and look at around 40th, around 985, you will reach. So basically here my entire concept was how money multiplier concept we can use to understand the process of utilizing the capital or utilizing the money in the banking system. This is something that is interesting, and you can this, when we talk about money multiplier, we have different type of money. M1, M2, M3. I have definition in today's discussion. So it means you have because all money compositions are different. One money is, let's say, a coin, M1 we call it. M1 money means which is in your bank deposit and can be immediately used, or your currency which is being used at present, which means immediately available cash. Whatever there in your economy is your M1. When we talk about M2, M2 also includes time deposit up to, I think, based on, in US it is 100,000. In India we have a different classification. It means time deposit up to some extent. In India, I believe it is 10 lakhs or so. And when we call it M3, M3 means your cash or cash equivalent. So we will see RBI definition. So but for time being, my here entire objective was to explain what is money multiplier and how bank transform this money, this deposit, in terms of lending, and how that is going to basically going to transform into some other value through how it is going to be used. But again, it is some kind of theoretical dimension. So you can never achieve 100%, and that's why in theory we say that your money multiplier or deposit multiplier can be 1 upon your reserve requirement. But this is when you are able to utilize at 100. So now we were talking about various type of deposits. So whenever we talk about reserve, when we say reserve, basically we are talking about, sorry, currency in circulation, various bankers deposit or other deposit. And when we talk about M1, so basically M1 is your currency with public, basically whatever currency is in circulation, your demand deposit with the banking system, and other deposit which is basically available. When we call about M2, so as we are moving from here to here, M1 to MN or M4, what you will find, your your characteristic of your money will change. Like we say cash, then you have cash equivalent, and within cash equivalent, let's say you have gold, you have inventory. Same way, as we go from M1 to M4, you will have cash equivalent substitute. But if you want to convert into cash, it will take some time as you move from M2 to M3, M3 to M4. So that is the major difference you will observe. And when we talk about M2, basically M1, so your this initial part plus saving deposit of post office saving bank. Similarly, when we talk about M3, M3 is your M1 plus your time deposit with the banking system. And same way, when we talk about M4, M4 is your M3 plus your all deposit, post office, and then excluding your national savings. So these are basically difference between various subclasses of money supply, and that we generally use. And I have taken from RBI, so you can also refer to similar sources. So apart from these objectives of commercial bank, there are certain additional responsibilities of commercial bank. We call it special roles of commercial bank. For example, first part they do is channelizing the credit so that it can be used for various productive investments. because unless corporations get capital for investment, they cannot produce, they cannot contribute towards the GDP, and if they cannot contribute, overall economy cannot sustain. So basically, if we put in another way, they act as economic support system. They do, even if you go and look at the correlation, if you go and check, correlation between, bank services or bank lending with economic activity or economic growth, you will find a positive relationship. And why positive relationship? Because unless your banking systems are strong, they cannot support your economic activity. And that's why you randomly select any country wherever banking system is weak, or commercial banks are not effective, you won't find good economic activities, because through banks all economic activities basically starts. How bank can do. So can anybody tell how these two are related with the special role of bank, economies of scale and economies of scope? Students. Yeah, hello. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, can anybody explain how economies of scale and economies of scope can be special role of banks? What is of economies of scale? In case of banks, or as a definition, can anybody tell what is economies of scale? No one. So actually, when we talk about, these are two basic micro concepts in economics. So when we say economies of scale, what we are referring, for example, let's say when a company produce let's say 10,000 units of certain goods, and when company is producing 10,000 units of goods, let's say cost per unit is coming, let's say $2.5. When company go for mass production, so let's say 1,000 units, because of same type of resources company is using, but company is able to go for increasing the production scale, the cost will go down. Let's say cost comes down to $1.75. So what we say that company is, or this manufacturing company is able to use economies of scale. Means company is, when company has increased the production or scale of producing output, company is able to reduce the cost, or company is able to get cost advantage. And then let's say if the selling price here was $5 and selling price here is still $5. So in this case, you can see here company had a markup or additional above the cost $2.5, and here basically it will be more than that. So you can see here, because of this economies of scale, company is able to save more money per unit basis, because company is able to achieve the benefit of economies of scale, right? And similarly, when company start different products at the same unit or same location, So this is one same kind of product. Through that, by increasing the production or scale, company can get the this advantage, cost advantage. Similarly, you can think of when companies or a same unit or entity is able to go for different type of products. When n number of products are there, number of earlier only one product company was selling. Now company is able to produce and sell at n number of products or 10 number of products. So company will be able to achieve the economies of scope. Similarly, now when banks are big enough, or banks are able to provide, able to give service of this credit, credit extension, or channelizing the money from savers to the borrower. And when banks are big enough to do that operation, they are able to achieve basically economies of scale, because people are corporations are more in economy, and they want to borrow for various activities. And also, if you compare banks financial services or banks role in 90s versus banks role in 2020, you will find in 90s they had limited activities, and in 2020 they have more services. More services means more options to offer for long-term sustainability or for various activities. So in this case, what we are referring that now with over the period of time, role of commercial banks has expanded significantly, and now they are able to function. They are able to perform economies of scale and economies of scope through various instruments and by their activity size, or by their lending and borrowing practices. So this is one kind of important activity these commercial banks are able to do. Apart from that, in terms of monetary policy transmission, we have already seen it is done through it start from your RBI, it goes to individual, to commercial bank, and then finally to individual. Apart from that, banks, these banks also perform social welfare, social justice and trust. And you can easily, there are numerous examples. Social welfare means various schemes are there through which these banks try to reach out to every odd individual who are not connected. Because when the banks are able to, like, especially you have Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana. So if you take that as an example, you will find the role of commercial banks. Earlier they had less number of bank accounts, but when there was a pressure from the government side to open bank account for everyone, so that whatever benefit governments want to give to individuals who really need directly, it can be done. So through that kind of mechanism, or through various other mechanism, you will find that these banks are also performing social welfare, social justice, and they are creating trust among individuals. And if you just go and compare 2-3 banks and try to see which bank do you feel is more trustworthy, you will be able to easily categorize all 2-3 banks based on those trust criteria. So it means they are not only the financial institution to support economy, but they are also doing other peripheral and important services which are very essential in any economy. So more or less, if you pick any random commercial bank, these kind of activities you will find. For example, they do accept deposits. They provide loans to the borrower, various investment activities, especially if you go, they also go and spend money in the market like mutual fund or NPS scheme or various other scheme. LIC, within LIC, these banks take participate and buy. They are involved in remittance. If you are in US and you want to transfer money here, so there will be certain ways by which you can go for wire transfer. Dealing with the foreign exchange, if someone is going any other country, you will have to convert your currency to your target country currency. So those facilities are available. Overdraft facility, you will find. Discounting bill, especially when we talk about discounting bill, we also call it factoring services. We will discuss about factoring services. Banks issue credit cards, so need not to tell what is credit card. You all know. ATM services, debit card, online banking, private banking to selected customers, mobile banking, and PPF account. Basically, if you go and see most of the public sector banks, they are involved in maintaining PPF account or NPS account. So these are various services commercial banks generally provide, and this is how credit card operations take place when you purchase credit card. This is very simple example. You can easily see when card is issued, you are here and you want to buy something from your merchant. So what will happen when you buy? You are card holder with your as issuing bank, let's say SBI or SDFC or some other. So when you buy, bill is raised, and then basically through this merchant bank, this clearing takes place. Bill is issued with after certain authentication. Bill is submitted. So let's say you purchase from one store, and then it will go to your merchant bank's account. Let's say your you purchase it, it will go to respective bank account. Then your all these bills are going to be settled, will be sent for your bank with whom you are maintaining your credit card, and then finally payment will be sent to the merchant, because probably let's say this bank is basically ICICI Bank and you have purchased from Big Bazaar. So when you have purchased, Big Bazaar is meant to having account in ICICI, so all bills that are authenticated during the purchase will be sent to will be given to ICICI, and then final settlement will take place between these two, SBI and your merchant bank's account. So this is very simple example you can relate. Fine. So what we will do, we will stop our discussion here, and if you have any question, we can take any question.
Sir, in special roles of bank, you
Yeah.
mentioned the point monetary policy transmission mechanism.
Right.
Will you please re-explain it?
Okay, monetary policy. Let's say certain let's say when RBI change CRR or SLR, those are monetary policy mechanism. If you remember, we discussed in
Yes,
last
sir.
session. So if let's say earlier CRR was 4% and now CRR increased, RBI has increased to 10%. It means earlier bank had 100 minus 4 rupee only when you adjusted for CRR. Now these commercial banks will have less money to lend. If money itself is less, or money that can be lent to someone is less, more money cannot be given to individual, right? And also remember, when repo rate and reverse repo rates are changed, reverse repo rate means at which if these rates are increased, when these rates are increased by the RBI, then what will you will find? The borrowing rates or your loan rates are going to also increase. It will have impact on that. It means your borrowing is going to be more costly. So what will happen with these type of monetary policy mechanism, or these tools you can call CRR, SLR, repo rate, reverse repo rate. So basically these tools are way by which excess money can be reduced in economy, or it can also influence to allow economy to use to get more money. So this is the way, that's why that point was included, because RBI can decide reverse repo rate and all these rates, but at the end, these commercial banks are going to interact with lender and borrowers. And that's why role of these banks are very important. Right?
Yes,
Yeah. So it's it is related to how much money is left with commercial bank, because you are not going to deal with the RBI. So if your commercial bank having less money to lend, of course it is going to be costly. Or money cannot be, excess money cannot be given, introduced in the economy. So this is how it functions.
Okay.
Any other question? So, and you can go and read, there are various sources, especially I would suggest you go and look at Federal Reserve St. Louis website. And because I couldn't find money multiplier, and then you have money velocity. There are various measures. So velocity means basically the way we have in physics, how it changes over time period. Same way, same concept is there in this macroeconomics. So you can go and read, and that is very interesting. You have many times you will find these macro concepts will help you to explore various dimensions that we cannot get proper answer when we read these theories in textbook. So I'm writing Federal Reserve St. Louis. You just type, you will be able to, because that is very good website, even especially when you are looking for Fred St. Louis. If you go and type this in Google, you will find they have very rich database, especially US database they maintain. So you can go and look at money velocity, M1, M2, M3 money, and how these have changed whenever you have various macroeconomic crisis. So it will help you to further understand all these dynamics. Right. So I think we should now, I'll be closing today's session. And if you have any further questions, so in tomorrow's session, we will be able to take it further and discuss. Right. So thank you very much. So
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. I'm closing your session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.